Welcome back, fellow Rainmakers, to the Crypto Rain channel. I am your host, J Murph, and today we're going to talk about what is going on in the market. We're going to talk about the economy overall and what would happen if the stock market crashed, or my best guess at what would happen to the crypto space should the stock market crash, and how will that impact it, as well as I want to talk about what projects I think will most likely be around 20 years from now, at least some of the ones that are on my mind. And so with that said, let's go ahead and get this party started. Join me, Rainmakers. All right, everyone. So, what is going on with the market? Well, we have had a great 3 months. It has been phenomenal. In fact, we've really had a good year since mid-year last year. And so since July, a lot of the cryptocurrency market has seen some massive gains. There have been some pullbacks, but overall it has done tremendously. And if you've been here, you've been hopefully experiencing some life-changing gains for yourself. And hopefully there's a lot more to come. Now, a lot of us are thinking, well, what is going on with the U.S. markets, and what would happen if the stocks crashed? Now, that's very possible they could crash. However, let me tell you, historically, we have some patterns to look at. And there have been countries in the past that have gone crazy with printing off fiat currencies. And unfortunately, this isn't only happening in the U.S., it's happening with many countries around the world where they are printing off so much money. And so it does have an impact. What it does is it usually causes massive inflation. So we can look at one of the most extreme examples, which is Venezuela. And Venezuela, when they printed off so much money, what was interesting is the stock market didn't crash. What happened overall is that people lost faith in the currency because they were printing off so much. But the stock market, if you were to look at the stock market, it never did crash. And so it actually should come down. It would be healthy if it came down. It would be healthy if the real estate market in the U.S. came down, and the markets in many of these countries came down. But I don't know what will happen. Printing off extra money won't necessarily crash the market. What it will do is it will make people have less faith in the currencies, and they will then look for other assets. What would one of those assets they would look at be? Well, cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other things, right? So that might just be where they head to. Do we know that that will happen? No, it's just a good guess that that's what's likely to happen. So how things turn out is often what they're likely to become, but not always. Why don't we also take some time looking at some projects that I think have good fundamentals that will help them have the best chance to be around 20 years from now. Now, this isn't a fully inclusive list of everything. These are just some of the ones on my mind that I want to talk about that I think have a strong chance of making it. Especially some of these ones we are going to look at. Now, Ultra, I talked about the other day, and personally, I'm looking for some good retraces on this one. If you're a video game player, you're probably familiar with Steam. Now, I do play video games once in a while. I'm very particular on what I like and what I don't like. One of the games I do like is a team-based game called Dota 2. And it came out of World of Warcraft, or Warcraft 3, essentially, and actually some people made some modifications of that. And years down the road, you have Dota 2, one of the biggest games in all the world. In fact, it's one of the highest paid games in the world. The competitions, some of the teams that play in these competitions have won millions of dollars for winning the international tournaments. And that's fascinating to me, that for playing video games, they're literally making millions of dollars, which is hilarious. You know, a lot of times when you're a kid, you're like, I want to be a professional soccer player, because soccer or football, depending on which country you're in, it's one of the highest paid professions in the world. Or I want to be a professional basketball player. And now kids legitimately can say, I want to be a professional video game player, and there are millions of dollars on the table for playing that. Isn't that awesome? So it's funny how things change, right? It's like, you play too much video games. Actually, I'm working on my career, Mom. Sometimes that's a legitimate excuse, sometimes it's not, but that's the excuse every kid gives, right? All right, so Ultra is a competitor to Steam, and they're got more decentralization. They've got a very beautiful website. A new era for gamers. Ultra is the first entertainment platform providing a variety of game industry services under a single roof, accessible through a single login. Discover, buy, and play games. Watch live streaming feeds, interact with your favorite influencers, participate in contests, compete in tournaments, and much, much more. So it's kind of like Steam combined with Twitch, right? And using blockchain technology. So my biggest hope from this comes out of like Steam is really cool. You can buy and sell cosmetic items, or you can buy games on it. But one of the things I hate about Steam is that you have what's called trapped value, which means say you have some Dota 2 cosmetic items that maybe have gone up. Some of them are thousands of dollars. You can sell them legitimately for thousands of dollars. But what you can't do is extract the money from the platform. So though you can use it within the Steam community to buy other games or buy other items, you cannot withdraw it to your bank account. So one of the big things I'm looking forward to is blockchain interacting with the gaming world so that you literally can extract the value of your items. And so I think Ultra is going to play a big part in this. Now, they have seen some real big appreciation since earlier this year. In fact, since July of last year, and you could have bought it for really, really cheap. Way back here even, this is when everything crashed, but it is, almost 2 cents down there, and it's gone to 70 cents. Now, in that same time, Cardano has gone from about 2 cents to over $1, so it hasn't outperformed Cardano, but its market cap is so low. It's got a lot of room to run. In fact, if we look at the market cap overall, you'll see that it's only $367,000. And so the circulating supply, over half of the supply is in circulation already, which is good news. And so it's got a lot of room to grow on that market cap. And this is one of the big ones I've been looking at and making bigger buys. Now, what I like is I'm seeing what I would call a rounded top here. So a little rounded, right? We're on the daily time frame. But even if we look at the 1 hour, do you see how rounded that is? Now, what that means is it's losing some momentum. And so when you see rounded tops, it means it's losing momentum, and usually there's some good retracements. So hopefully lead to some good pickups. I did go ahead and buy some more on this here. Now that's not even a very big retracement. Often it will come down to the 38.2 line, and it hasn't. I'm hoping for that because I would like to make more purchases, and I do have a few buy orders in here around the 50% retracement or the 61.8 retracement. I have a really big buy order around there too. Just looking for good pickups on this because this is the one I'm really interested in for the long term that I think can change the gaming space. Okay, another one we've been following, and if you've been following this channel, you're very familiar with, and that's the Ecomi token, or ticker symbol OMI, O-M-I. So one of the downsides of this is it's only available on these two exchanges, but it's about to get added to Uniswap soon. In fact, probably within a week it will be added to Uniswap, and they will have a wrapped OMI token. Now overall it is built on GoChain, and so I've also been following GoChain. I feel like it's at a very attractive price. We don't know the exact market cap on this, but 750 billion total circulating supply at the beginning. We don't know what the circulating supply actual in circulation, and we know that they burn tokens. They have a burn mechanism, so it's no longer a total max supply of 750 billion either, as they sell tokens on their actual app, and their app is really cool. I think it's going to change so much, and I think it's got widespread adoption capabilities. Now I'm on their app, and I'm on something called the feed, and you can look at, they have augmented reality where people they buy these different items, and then they can actually take these items and put them in augmented reality, meaning this is an actual picture someone took where they put one of their items in in the app. And so what it does is it's really good for making cool memes. And so when I really realized the capabilities of this to make memes, of take some of the 3D models that you bought and put them in your real space, as far as taking a picture, it dawned on me how big this is going to go. The power of a meme is so strong, and especially those collectibles that are very strong for memes. And so some of the ones that are best for memes is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, which is unfortunately sold out. Many of the Batman characters. But particularly, there's one available right now that one of our subscribers brought to my attention. And when they said it, it really made sense. And I said, yeah. And that's this Joker. Now, it's a first appearance of the Joker. And I was never a big comic book person, but I did know enough to know that that was a big deal when they made a first appearance in a comic book, that often that comic book held higher value. And so within the Batman Black and White series, this is the first appearance of the Joker, and it's a very highly detailed model. He's very hideous looking, but what he is really good for is memes. I mean, it's so ugly and so pronounced that that will be a great one for memes, and it is not yet sold out. Now, many of you have been collecting with me and buying some of these at really good price. In fact, we were getting those Series 1 Batmans that are now sold out, and so a lot of the Series 2 stuff is selling out, but this Joker is still available, and it's very meme friendly. So there's two particular blockchains and projects that are competing very well in this space. Now, they don't just have Ecomi and this app VeVe, they don't just have the Batman Black and White license. They have many licenses. In fact, supposedly they have the NFL Players Association license. So we'll see what happens with that. They also have some very good 3D modeling technology with this. And what I would love to see is, and they've talked about it, is posable models. That would be cool if you could move their arms and stuff and create them in exactly the frame that you want, and then you can make memes with them. That will be huge. So we'll see what comes out with the NFL. They do have some very good licenses, and these licenses are really going to secure their future, which is awesome to see what's coming out of that. I think some of these collectibles, I have a feeling, I don't know this, I just suspect they're going to be some of the highest appreciating things, like the Flow Blockchains project that they got the licenses for, which is the NBA license, and they created NBA Top Shot. And so this has done phenomenal. And so if you had a chance to buy some of these collectibles last, like September, October, November, you literally have seen 100 to 200% appreciation on the actual collectibles. So, no, 100x to 200x appreciation. So I did buy one LeBron James card for $58. It's going for about $19,000 now. And I did get a LeBron James card out of a common pack. Now, I bought 10 of those common packs, and they only had 3 cards apiece in them. So I only had 90 cards, but one of those was a LeBron James common card that's now worth $30,000. So I suspect some of these Ecomi ones are going to do very well, just like some of the NBA Top Shots have. Now, the blockchain that Ecomi is on, it does have its own token, which is the OMI token, which will do really well, and is built on top of the GoChain blockchain. And so we'll talk about GoChain in a little bit, but I want to get over to Flow, which is the blockchain that the people behind NBA Top Shots built specifically for their gaming stuff. And so if you look at how the blockchain has performed, it's performed very well. If you had bought early or late January, you could have bought some of their tokens for about $6.50, and now they're trading for about $33. So about 5x in just a month and a half. Now, will it continue to appreciate so much? Well, I think both of these projects have much more coming. It's hard to pull technical analysis on this because there's not a lot of history to go through, but we did talk about these projects with Angel, who has 6 years professional grade experience trading, and so we did talk about these. If you caught the video from earlier today, I hope that's helpful. But I do suspect that these are some of the projects that are around 20 years from now. Though a lot of projects won't be, I think these will be. Another project that I think is going to be around 20 years from now, and that's Basic Attention Token. So Microsoft and Google have made a lot of money with their browsers because their browsers collect a lot of information on us, and they don't necessarily share any of that value with us. What they do tell you is, oh, what you have is free unless you want a bunch more Google storage for, say, your Gmail and your Google account. Then you got to pay us too, and we're making a bundle off of selling all your private information that we're collecting to everyone else because you agreed to our service. Well, that's great, and free is nice, but free really comes at a big cost. So what Basic Attention Token through their Brave browser is allowing us is to choose how much of that information to give up and to participate in the gains from that information should we allow them to sell it. I love that. So their total market cap right now is 1.8 billion, and most of their supply is in circulation in one form or another. And so they are paying some pretty hefty rewards through stake. They're not super hefty actually, but they are some rewards that you can stake on, like Celsius, which is where I have my Basic Attention Token stake. Now, I picked up a whole bunch of this a while ago, and I just sent it over to the Celsius network, and I just have it staked. These are one of the ones that I'm just going to hold on for the long term. I might try to time this and sell this near the top of the market, or I might just hold on to this. Anyway, I'm not quite certain. We'll just see what the charts look like then. But it is getting some widespread adoption. The people behind developing the Brave browser are very experienced in the browser space. And I'm not going too deep into any of the teams or specifics on their things. This is more of an overview. But know that they have the right team behind them to nail things. In fact, these projects that I'm talking about today pretty much all have top-notch teams. So one of the next ones that's likely to be around 20 years from now is Cardano. Very good project. You've all heard of Charles Hoskinson, and he's very available as far as he does his own Ask Me Anything appearances on YouTube. So you can literally hear from him, and he tells you as much information as he can that isn't private, that he can't disclose per agreement, right? So one of the things I really appreciate about Charles Hoskinson as an investor is I know what's going on with the project because he discloses all the information on a regular basis, and just by watching him, you can hear what's going on with the project. There's a lot of other projects where you don't get that kind of information, which is one of the reasons I started this channel, because there's so much information out there that's not necessarily private, that can't be disclosed, but that it hasn't hit public awareness. And I found as an investor, I was having a hard time getting more of that information. So I started this channel because what I realized is a lot of these projects have a lot of talks with the big influencers out there. And so I knew if I could grow a channel and somehow make it interesting enough that you would want to subscribe, that would allow me to speak on a regular basis for all these different teams. And then I could share with you the information that I was learning, because I like to ask lots of questions. And I'm a fundamentals type of guy, so that when I learn stuff that's really, really interesting, that really hasn't hit public awareness, but it's fully able to be disclosed, that I would share that all with you. And so by subscribing, you're helping me hit that so that I can give you even better information. Now, the whole point of growing this channel has worked, and we will talk about that in a little bit, because I have had some of the developers on some of the teams reach out to me. What I hope is, as I continue to grow this, I will be speaking to all the major players in this market, and that I can be bringing you even better and better information. So Cardano, big fan of. I hold a lot myself. Polkadot, also a big fan of. I think they will change the world. And they have some of the best people in the space that have created some very good solutions. And the Polkadot, we're going to see, my guess, some good appreciation out of Polkadot, because their ecosystem is starting to come into fruition. They'll soon be having their auctions for the different parachain slots. And what's interesting is these projects are going to have to acquire massive amounts of DOT in order to try to win these auctions. Now, at first, the auctions might go for fairly cheap, but then the prices will escalate very quickly from there. Now, all they have to do is, they're not actually paying that price for to like the Polkadot ecosystem. What they have to do is, whoever is to win it, you have to be the highest bidder for how much DOT you're going to stake to reserve that spot. So they'll get it back at the end of their reservation, but what it's going to do is it's going to take a lot of DOT out of the ecosystem. And so I think that the tokenomics behind it will drive some pretty good appreciation in the coming months on Polkadot, as well as the people behind both these projects are very serious players with very good solutions that my guess is they'll be around 20 years from now, whereas a lot of other projects might not. So for many of you that have been in the space for a while, you know about Theta token. In fact, you probably have some, and you're probably getting some amazing T-Fuel rewards. I've got a funny story about this. This is why swing trading can sometimes be bad. Now, at the bottom of the terrible down market, where things were really boring, I did buy a bunch of Theta. And I bought it for really cheap at 7 cents. Now, what I was doing back then was a lot of swing trading. I would buy on some of the platforms that had lower liquidity, and I would put in cheap buy orders and get it cheap, and then I would set sell orders when the price would double, and then some more sell orders when it would go up another part from there, planning to buy back. And so I was able to get a pretty good buy, not the best buy. The best buy would have been around 4 or 5 cents, but I did get some at 7 cents. I then sold, I think, about half of what I had at 14 cents, which I was like, yes, I just doubled it. And then when it hit 21 cents, it sold the rest of what I had, and I thought, oh, that's phenomenal. I doubled and tripled my money, depending on, which of the sales we're talking about. But I missed my buyback. And so, darn it, I have 0 Theta. I have since that time been earning 0 Theta fuel, and it has 100x since where I bought it at 7 cents. So swing trading is great on projects you believe in for the long term. Better if you get your initial profits back out, but you don't sell 100% of it, or you might just miss out on some massive gains like I did, because Theta has been one of the best performers since the bear market in appreciation, and has already 100x'd. And I think there's a lot of bull market still to go. So how well will it do? I don't know. If it 10x's from here, essentially that's a 1000x. So those are rare. Very few projects hit those. Theta could do that. Now, will it 100x from here? Well, that's a 10,000x from its low spot. I don't know if it's got that kind of fuel, literally, in it. All right. But it is a project that they have all the right people behind it, and they're in a space that these people are the right people to be putting it together, and they're likely to be around 10 and 20 years from now. Okay, back to GoChain. Now, I don't know if GoChain will be around 10 or 20 years from now. I hope so. I've been buying it, but it is providing the blockchain that Ecomi is built on, and I think Ecomi will be around for a very long time. And this is why I started the channel, because it's specifically for this type of instance, where I've actually been a follower of GoChain for a long time, but I had no idea that they had landed the Ecomi deal until after I already knew what Ecomi was and was trading some of the collectibles on VeVe, and I was talking about Ecomi and Omi, and only then did I realize, oh my gosh, they're built on GoChain. GoChain is going to have some massive appreciation. Now, had I had a big YouTube channel with a lot of subscribers, I probably would have been in contact with them because they're one of the ones that I liked. And so I missed out on some massive gains and missed out on sharing with you some opportunities for massive gains because I didn't start my channel as soon as I would have liked because I didn't know this information beforehand. But this kind of shows you why I started this channel, because it wasn't necessarily private information. It just wasn't in public awareness that this was happening. And had I had the reach to be able to speak with the team at GoChain, then I would have known and seen this coming, and I could have shared it all with you, because those are the type of questions that I ask. So missed out on this one, but this is why essentially I started this channel. And each of you that subscribes to the channel, you are helping me further get to that goal so I can share with you some really good information on things before it happens, which I'm going to do later in this episode. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed. I'm going to share with you some more information. For some of you, some of the information will be a repeat from before, and some of you, it will be brand new. One of the other projects that I have a feeling is going to be around 10 or 20 years from now, and that's Orion Protocol. Now, what Orion is it's essentially an aggregator. What is an aggregator, you probably ask? Well, that's a great question. An aggregator is a trading platform that aggregates all the different tokens out there. So essentially you can have one login and you can buy and sell tokens that are on any of the other platforms out there, because it aggregates the liquidity from all of those. So with one centralized login, you can buy things on whatever platform that then interfaces with Orion. Love that idea, because I know a lot of people that have missed out on some very good deals because they didn't have a login to certain platforms. It isn't a bad idea to, I do have some links down below for some of the major exchanges out there that if you don't have logins, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and set up your logins and create your account right now before the utter craziness comes later this year. Because what we saw in 2017, when the utter craziness of the bull market really hit, was sometimes there was a waiting period of up to 2 months to be able to actually complete the creating a login and registration process. And so I don't know if they've got it fixed and that will happen. We just saw on Voyager, it got hit with so many new people that there was a 2-week waiting period. And so it dawned on me that that will probably happen again. So if you do use, say, the Binance is one that if you don't have a login, it's a really good exchange to be in. If you're in the US, I understand that you can get one if you use a VPN and you don't go through the KYC process. You are limited on how much you can withdraw, and you have to use that VPN to log in. Binance is just protecting itself, but I have heard that that works. Or you know, Binance.us, which is their US SEC friendly side, has some of the things on it. It just doesn't have near as much as Binance.com has on it. Qcoin is US friendly. Pretty much anywhere in the world you can get Qcoin, and that's a great one. It gets some of the tokens before some of the bigger exchanges like Binance and Coinbase do, and so Qcoin gives you great reach into some really good projects. That's where I've been buying Orion Protocol. And so not a bad idea to go ahead and create your logins for those, even if you don't fund your accounts from them yet, but you have your login ready to go and your registration is complete. So Orion, I like what's going on overall. Now, when I started talking about Orion, it was brought to me by one of you, so I much appreciate it. And you said, hey, take a look at Orion Protocol. This is what I like about it. And so if you just ask me to look at something and you don't tell me what you like about it and what the market cap is, probably won't put my eyes on it. But if you take the time to write out a project and what you like about it, give me a full description on what you like about it, I promise I will at least put my eyes on it. Now, whether I'll do a review on it or not depends. If I really like it, obviously I'm going to cover it because I love to cover with you guys the projects I really like out there. But I will at least look at it if you complete those things. If you just say, hey, what about what's such and such, I probably won't look at it. I don't have enough time for those. But if you take the time to write out what you like about it, that's when I will at least look at it myself. And that's what someone did here. And they told me what they liked about it. I said, oh, that looks interesting. I took a look at it. I was like, that looks really interesting. So unfortunately, I didn't find out about it till it was at this point. But what I liked about it is it had this nice W shape going on. And at the time, it was right here. And I was like, oh my gosh. No, it had just gone to here. And then it had retraced back to here. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is going to keep going up. It's just having a healthy retracement. And sure enough, it has. And so that was a great point. So what I'm liking about it now is that it's losing some of its momentum, because what I'm looking for is more entry points for Orion Protocol. Now, if you pick this up on Qcoin, one of the cool things is you can then stake it through Qcoin's site on staking, and the staking rewards are phenomenal at 20%. So what I'm looking for is I did go ahead and pick up some more when it retraced right here. That's not a really great buy point. I do have some more orders right around here and then some more here. In fact, a really big one there and a little bit more here, just looking for really good entries. So though I hold a bunch of these, I totally want the price to drop on this only so that I can buy more. I know it's selfish of me to want the price to drop so that I can buy more. Even though it seemed like it hurts my positions, I'm in this for the longer term. I'm not trying to swing trade this one. I'm trying to get more for the longer term to hold. So it's one of the ones I really like out there, and I want to make sure I shared it with you. And so one of the other projects I want to talk about is OneSwap. Now this is done by some developers involved with Wanchain itself, but it's also some of the community members who are huge fans of Wanchain. And the reason I want to talk to you about this is one of the developers behind Wanchain reached out to me that's also involved in OneSwap, and they shared with me some of the information related to what's going on with Wanchain and also OneSwap in particular, and another kind of sister site that's coming out related to this. And so what OneSwap is, if you're not familiar, is it's kind of like Uniswap, but instead of Uniswap interacts very easily with the MetaMask wallet. But you can actually get the OneMask wallet the same way you can the MetaMask wallet. It can be on Google Chrome. You can get the OneMask plugin. And the OneMask plugin, you then just follow the instructions once you download it. Make sure you save off your private keys in a safe space, as well as your password. And it interacts just like MetaMask does. And so what you can do is you can then send your WASP directly to, you can then send your Wanchain from the exchange. You can buy it on KuCoin or you can buy it on Binance. And you can send it to your OneMask address, which is right here. And so now I only have 21 in here. But trust me, I'm heavy on Wanchain because I'm very bullish on it. And one of the things you can do with it is you can set up your Wanchain in farming. And you can farm these different pairs. So you can farm this is essentially a Wanchain wrapped US dollar tether, and so you can provide liquidity to this, and it gives you this APY that it pays out in the WASP token. Now, since I first became familiar with this, the WASP token was trading at about 2 cents. The WASP token is now trading much higher than that. In fact, let's look at exactly what it is trading at. It is now trading at, and Wanchain at the time was about 40 cents. And now Wanchain is $1.40, and WASP is trading at 25 cents. So literally on this WASP token, it has over 10x since it started, and Wanchain has tripled. So what I love about this is if you like farming on Binance Smart Chain or anything else out there, Wanchain has some of the cheapest fees, and it's crazy how cheap it is. So now I provided liquidity, and this shows you all the different pools out here. And I provided liquidity on just a few of them. Now I'm going to click this button, which is going to make this smaller and only show you the ones that I have staked in. Now, I actually recorded a video earlier where I added some additional liquidity walking you through how to do this. And I totally messed up on that video, so I am re-recording this. But I essentially added some liquidity to WAN, BTC, and WAN. And the way you do that is you take some of your WAN and you convert it to, say, WAN BTC. Now, I have so little left in actual Wanchain right now. I'm just not set up to walk you through this very well at this time. Probably I'll do it again later. I have, if you look at my past videos, done somewhat of a walkthrough through this before. There are also better tutorials that will walk you through providing some liquidity. But let me tell you, it's thanks to all of you joining this channel that got me some good information on some updates coming with OneSwap and the people behind this. And that's a sister site to this, where if you take some of the liquidity tokens that you're providing through this pool and you put them into farming on this sister site, not only will you earn some WASP tokens, but you will earn some additional secondary tokens. And that sister site has some NFTs related to it and some gamified liquidity providing or farming. So already, like, since I've been farming this, the rewards are very, very good. If you look at, now, it's not like I just put a little bit of money into this. I put about $20,000 worth of WAN into this. So, but if you look at the kind of return, so 1840 plus 1482, is it fair to say that that's close to about 3,200 total WASP per week? And at 25 cents, that would make it, what's that, $800 per week, or $3,200 per month in WASP tokens for about $20,000. And in that time, Wanchain continues to appreciate. So unfortunately for me, half of my tokens I sent over in Wanchain, I converted into, say, WAN ETH and a WASP token. And so this is actually appreciated very well, so that's great in this pair. And ETH is appreciated some, not quite as well as Wanchain has appreciated. But so I had to get these pairings so that I could earn these amazing farming rewards through the WASP token, which have been fantastic. And so I'm excited for that next rollout that they have coming very soon. And thanks to all of you subscribing to the channel. They did reach out to me because I've covered OneSwap before, and they asked me if I wanted to know more about what's coming up. And by subscribing to the channel, you help make that happen. And that's been the goal of this channel, that as the channel gets bigger and I get more and more subscribers, I'll have more and more access to all the different teams out there. And so no longer will I miss out on that GoChain information, and no longer will you miss out on that kind of information. That's why I created this channel. I know it's devious, not really devious. It's just common sense that if you have a large subscriber base, they're going to be talking to me on a regular basis, and then I can give you even better information because I'm an analytical by nature. I ask lots of questions. There's some great aspects of that I like to ask lots of questions. I like to look at fundamentals behind things, and it helps me give you good information. Now, there's some downsides to being on the analytical side of things too. I can be boring. Just can be. I don't always have the very best audio, though I actually have some really high-end equipment. I don't even know how to use it. Why? Because I'm mostly information-based. I'm more function over form. Does that make sense? There are some YouTube channels that they're way more form over function. They talk really pretty stuff, but they're talking about the deeper questions, and the deeper fundamental analysis isn't so much their thing. Does that make sense? So I'm more on I like to understand the fundamentals, so I want to know is this a short-term hold? Is this a medium-term hold? Is this a long-term hold? And I like to ask good questions so I can evaluate for myself to make better investments, as well as share all that information with you, which is the purpose of this channel. But I love to see that it's coming together. I've got some behind-the-scenes information on Wanchain, thanks to you, and OneSwap, and particularly this other site coming out, and it should be a lot of fun, though I've only had a first look at it, and I haven't seen all that much yet, but it does mean that this is going to get even better, which could help pump Wanchain even more. If you look at Wanchain in general, the price is pretty attractive. So when we look at price, the overall market cap, now this is one that's very low compared to where it was. And we did do a deeper dive on specific technical analysis with Angel Mondragon earlier today. So hopefully you caught that. It is long, but you can skip through. I put the markers in there so you skip through. You can see in 2018 it did peak out at $9.30. It is only $1.39 today. So they were really big on providing cross-chain capabilities way back then, which has been their goal, which is becoming really important now as people realize that all these different chains are going to exist. And so cross-chain capabilities are absolutely huge, and Wanchain has some of the best developers in this space working on those kind of solutions, and we're going to see a lot more of that. One of the things they did tell me that's not private information, it's just not hit the public awareness, is that Wanchain is building a layer 2 solution that will work very much with the Ethereum network in the way you already understand the Ethereum network. It'll just lessen the fees by a lot behind the scenes, which is really cool. So you'll interact like you're used to on the Ethereum chain, and some of it will happen on the Ethereum chain, but most of the actual expensive part of the function will be run on Wanchain behind the scenes, keeping the total price way down for you on fees. And so Ethereum, hopefully their update that's supposed to be coming in does save us all on fees and maybe improves transaction times, maybe, but that's still not going to be enough. I mean, I paid, I probably pay $1,000 a week in one form or another on Ethereum fees. And I would love that to go way, way down. And Wanchain is probably going to have one of the best layer 2 solutions for that, especially if it can continue to allow things to operate in a way that we're familiar with, but behind the scenes, run things much cheaper and faster. Love it. So look forward to that as well. That's on top of the update with OneSwap that's coming. OneSwap is just a fun way to earn some great farming rewards. I do want to show you how cheap these transactions are. So I'm going to go to one that I provide some liquidity to, and I just pulled out liquidity, or I just pulled out some, or claimed some on it not too long ago. These things just keep accumulating, which is fun because these are 25 cents a piece. So $76, divide that by 4, and that's what the value on this is. But I'm going to claim it, and watch how little these fees are. So literally Wanchain's trading at just over $1. So this is basically 0.02 cents. Wow. 0.02 cents. Not 2 cents, but 1/100th of 2 cents. Absolutely freaking love it. And so what I love about farming on this site is that some of the Wanchain team is behind this, which gives me some peace of mind, because what you always worry about with farming is that the team does some kind of rug pull on you. So it gives me some peace of mind that some of the team is really connected by the Wanchain team, in fact involved with the Wanchain team, and that the Wanchain team actually audited this and did a look at it before it went live. So that gives me some peace of mind that it's safer than normal with farming. All right. Okay, for those that are here all the way till now, I'll give you a little bit of update. I talked about a project that has the fastest transactions per second out there by far, and they have actually more robustness than anyone realizes. And when I talked about that the other day, one of the subscribers asked a very good question. I love good questions. That means I'm attracting the kind of audience I always wanted to attract, which is the people that ask good questions, that learn and grow, and they're trying to grow themselves and learn more in this space. And they asked, well, is something like that going to put like Cardano out of business? And I don't think so, because Cardano and Polkadot, there's going to be plenty of space for them, and they're more kind of retail focused, meaning they're more towards like the general crypto community and growing some that way, and their solutions are going to work very well for a lot of things, but not necessarily everything. What they don't work well for is so a distributed ledger or a blockchain that's not centralized, that's fully decentralized, doesn't work well for some companies, and it doesn't work well for government entities. And so enterprises, they actually don't want necessarily a fully decentralized system. They want the ability to centralize it on servers that they can control. So it can be still decentralized, but the different servers can, in one way or another, be in their control or in control of companies that they very much trust. And even though there's some decentralization there provides extra security, they still, like, there are certain laws that prevent certain types of things from being on a distributed ledger that's fully decentralized. For example, in the US, you can't have healthcare information on a distributed ledger or a decentralized system. The reason is because there are certain laws that say you have to have full control over the servers that information is on. And so Cardano will never be able to revolutionize the private healthcare information, because unless the laws change, because on a decentralized database, and they have to by law have control over the different servers that information is on to be in HIPAA requirements. Also, governments are going to be very careful about that. And so this blockchain is set up really well to change the enterprise world. So who they compete with is, yes, they'll compete somewhat with Cardano and Polkadot, and Cardano and Polkadot will compete somewhat with them, but they'll be going after the enterprise clients. So they'll be going after the big companies that want more control over their centralized system, but they can produce speeds that are much better and at a much lower cost than anything the enterprises have access to at this point. And so they won't so much be going after the retail clients as they'll be going after the big players out there. And who they compete with is, say, Oracle or Amazon Web Services in some ways, and some of the other things out there. And there's a whole amount of business that's out there that they can take without actually cutting too much into all these other things. So they are going to be huge. The better I've come to understand what their technology has, it's blown my mind. It took me days to process what I had learned, because I'm kind of a process-oriented person. I take in all this information, but then my mind goes to work processing it. And it just blew my mind, because I didn't know that there was a project out there that had solved some of the problems that Charles Hoskinson and his team have been working on, and they've solved them in pretty good ways, but some of the problems they've solved in even better ways. And I just was completely unaware that there was something out there like this. So then my next question was, well, how could this be true that that's out there and I've never heard of it? Because I've been doing at least 3 hours of research a day for like 4 years. And so the story behind that made a lot of sense. I watched a video that they benchmark tested 3 years ago, their system, and this is just on total of 3 nodes, 1 tier 1 node and 2 tier 2 nodes. So literally just 3 nodes, and they hit 8 million transactions per second on average, which blows everything out there away by far. Secondly, their security is really, really solid. They're smart contract capable, in fact, in ways that most other blockchains wish they could be. So what they've been working on the last 2 years was actually making it more interoperable with a programming language that everyone knows. And that's one of the big problems holding many things back is, okay, your blockchain may be great, but if it's not built in a language that many of the developers speak, then you have a problem. And so what Ethereum did is they created Solidity, but because they were the first, there's 200,000 programmers that have since learned Solidity and know how to program on it, which is pretty good. Charles Hoskinson went a different route, which he said, well, I'm going to write it on Haskell because there's so many people that already know that language in the programming space, and so I can plug into hundreds of thousands of developers that way. So they went even a different way. They made it integrate with RESTful API, which anybody who's a big web programmer can speak and understand and integrate with that language. And so their integration has access to millions of developers out there. And do you understand why when I was hearing these things, I was just like, how have I not heard of this before? So if you've stuck around all the way till now, I'll at least give you the name, and you can go to their website. You're not going to find too much information on them because they haven't focused on any of the marketing. And that's dev.io, so devv.io, or Devvio is the name of the company. Tom Anderson is the CEO of that company, and they have some really, really big things coming. And so they'll be going after, they now have their stuff set and ready to go. They're actually more done than Cardano and Polkadot is. And they didn't go their traditional route, which many tokens did, where they did a big ICO, say in 2017. They were building this since 2015, but they didn't do a big ICO and say, hey, give us $200 million worth of funds so that then we can build this really big blockchain. No, they self-funded, and they raised some funds internally from some of the people that they knew to self-fund this. Now, they will be doing probably a token offering later this year. And I suspect that they will raise some pretty good funds from that. I don't know the exact token metrics of it as to whether it's a great deal or not, really. I think their technology is world-class, and their company has the strongest chance of anything I've seen of being around 30 or 40 years from now. But I don't know what the tokenomics are, and really it comes down to the tokenomics as to whether I think the token will appreciate as well as some of the things out there, or better than some of the things. So it really has to do with how the tokenomics come out as to whether I think it's a great buy at the price that it launches at. Unfortunately, they will not be able to sell to U.S. investors. They just have to be careful with securities laws within the U.S. So we'll see how that comes together. But if you stuck around all the way till now, I at least wanted to tell you about the project. Now, I will be covering it more, and as they get closer to their ICO, which is months and months away, if it's a good price, I'll tell you what I think. But their technology is groundbreaking, and so do I think they hurt Cardano and Polkadot's chance? No, I think there's so much out there to grab that Cardano is going to do very, very well. Polkadot is going to do very, very well. And so this is just going to be another company that goes after more the enterprise blockchain customers and clients, like the big companies, the Fortune 10 out there, or the Fortune 100. They're going to want to use Devvio services. And Cardano can do very, very well and not get a single Fortune 100 service and still make Cardano or token investors very, very wealthy, as well as provide plenty of service out there. Same with Polkadot. So it is one I was completely unaware of that I think is going to do very well in the space that it's going for, and probably even outside the space it's going for. One other thing that they're going after that I hadn't paid much attention to, but Tom Anderson, the CEO, was helping me understand, was that one of the big things in the U.S. is compliance with what's called ESG, environmental, social, and government, I think, or governance. But what it is basically being fully in compliance with government regulations, but also environmentally friendly and socially responsible. And so one of the big things that happened in the United States recently is that the biggest hedge fund in the world, and it's called BlackRock, announced that they will no longer be investing in the stock of any companies that aren't doing well on the ESG level. What that is carbon offsets and other things related to that. And so it has big implications, as well as some of the companies have decided they're going to tie their executive salaries to their ESG scoring. And so it's a big thing within the US, within France, and some of the other more developed countries. Obviously, China doesn't care so much about their ESG scores, but many of these other countries do. And so they will be looking at ways to be, buy carbon offsets and be more environmentally and socially responsible, and government, so anyway, just know that ESG is a big thing, and that they're going to help a lot of these companies be able to show their ESG with some of the things that they're doing behind the scenes, which is cool. It's a space that'll really do well. I mean, one of the reasons that, like, say, the rainforests get deforested, and though they provide a benefit to the world because all the forest in there does so much. And I'm not a huge environmentalist. I'm all for clean air, though. I do remember going to LA when I was a kid, and all the smog that was covering the city, and I hated that. You could feel it as you breathed it in when we went to Disneyland, and it was terrible. And I hate that kind of stuff, right? They call those negative externalities, which in economics means you cause impacts on other people through your own actions. You cause negative impacts on other people through your own actions. And so you're not seeing the full repercussions of your actions yourself. Other people are feeling those repercussions. And so what it will allow is people to be able to buy offsets by, protecting the rainforest. And it will happen in a more market-friendly way. Because when the government orders things like that, it doesn't usually happen in a market-friendly way, and it actually doesn't usually have the effect that they're trying to accomplish. I'm very much a free market person, so this will allow the free market to impact those things in ways that work much better. And I'm very excited about that, because governments, sometimes I think the politicians have good intentions, sometimes I think they don't. But what they say the policy is supposed to do isn't often what it does do. And so when the government gets in and starts ordering things around, it usually does not have the intended effect, doesn't accomplish the desired goal, and has lots of negative implications. I like it when the free market comes in and solves these things. And that's one of the big things that they're doing on top of all the other cool things that Devvio is doing. All right, guys, I've talked your ear off today. I appreciate your attention span till now. It's been great sharing this with you. I hope this is helpful. Just updating you on what's going on, what might be around 20 years from now, telling you a little bit about the secret project that I've shared with you a little bit, but this video I've shared more than in any other videos about it. Now, what positive implications does it have to you? Well, we'll see what their tokenomics come out when their token release happens, but they will be a big deal. I've heard numbers that they might be raising $250 million through a token sale, and then another one later. We'll just see when the timing comes out, what the tokenomics behind the token look like, as to whether I think that's a great deal or not. I do think their technology can change the world. It is faster than any other blockchain out there by huge magnitudes. Its cost is 1/1,000,000th the cost of Ethereum right now, which is ridiculously cheap. It's even cheaper than what we've been looking at on OneSwap. And so I'm very excited about that, although I do love OneSwap's low fees, and on the Wanchain, those fees. So excited, because I do lose about $1,000 a week on Ethereum fees on one way or another. I mean, sure, I'm making that kind of money, so I can lose. I just hate losing. It's just tons of money going to the Ethereum miners, and yeah, I wish them all the best, but that is ridiculous in my opinion, right? All right, guys, we will see you next time.